Okay, fellow Emmerdale fanatics, take a seat. Pour yourself a tea or something stronger, no judgment here. Stop what you're doing, because the news that just dropped out of the Yorkshire Dales has completely shattered the fandom, and honestly, we're all still trying to pick our jaws up off the floor. If you, like me, have spent years thinking about the tragic, sealed-shut story of Robert Sugden, then you need to prepare yourself. This isn't a drill. This isn't a rumor. This is happening. The bombshell we never dared to dream of. Robert Sugden's conviction is being appealed. Let's just let that sink in for a moment. Robert Sugden, our Robert, the man who has been languishing in a prison cell since 2019, serving a life sentence with a minimum of 14 years for the murder of Lee Posner. The man who brutally, heartbreakingly cut ties with the love of his life, Aaron Dingle, to set him free. That chapter, we were told, was closed, the key thrown away. We mourned the end of Lobren. We watched Aaron try to piece his life back together, and we accepted, with heavy hearts, that Robert's fate was sealed. Tonight, Emmerdale ripped that entire narrative to shreds. In a scene that came out of nowhere, a visibly shaken and pale Victoria received a call from a solicitor. We were all probably expecting something mundane, but the words that came through the speaker were an earthquake. New evidence has come to light regarding the death of Lee Posner. We believe we have grounds for a full appeal. There's a chance, a real chance, we can get the murder conviction overturned. A real chance! For years, Robert has been a ghost story in the village, a name whispered with sadness and regret. He's the reason for Aaron's deepest scars, the shadow in Victoria's past, the absent father to little Seb. To think that he might not just be a memory, but a living, breathing person who could walk the streets of Emmerdale again, it's almost too much to process. Let's rewind. The heartbreak that led us here. To understand the magnitude of this, we have to go back. Remember the pain of that time? Victoria, violated and traumatized by Lee, chose to keep her baby. Robert, in his typical, all-consuming, fiercely protective way, couldn't let it go. His anger simmered, a volcano waiting to erupt. And it erupted. That single, furious moment when he confronted Lee with a shovel. He never intended to kill him. It was a moment of white-hot rage born from a desperate love for his sister. But Lee later died in the hospital from his injuries, and Robert's fate was sealed. He pleaded guilty to GBH with intent, but the charge was elevated to murder. The sentence was life. The scenes that followed were some of the most gut-wrenching in the show's history. Robert, realizing the finality of his situation, made the ultimate sacrifice. He shut Aaron out completely. He sent divorce papers. He refused visitations. He broke his own heart to shatter Aaron's, believing it was the only way his husband could ever move on and find happiness. Every single fan felt the agony of that decision. It was a love story sacrificed for love itself. And that brings us to the biggest, most explosive question of all. Aaron Dingle. We have watched Aaron's journey through hell and back. We saw him crumble, rebuild, and try to find a new life. He's had other relationships. He's focused on his family, his business. But let's be brutally honest with ourselves. There has always been a Robert-shaped hole in his heart. No one has ever come close to filling it. The connection they shared was lightning in a bottle, a once-in-a-lifetime love that defined both of them. Tonight, as Liv broke the news to him, the camera lingered on Aaron's face, and in his eyes we saw a storm of 1,000 emotions: shock, disbelief, terror, and a tiny, flickering flame of something that looked dangerously like hope. What does this mean for him? If Robert gets out, is it a second chance at a happily ever after? Or is it reopening a wound so deep it could destroy him all over again? Robert is the love of his life, but he's also the source of his greatest pain. Can Aaron even trust him after being so cruelly cast aside? Can he forget the years of loneliness and heartache? The foundation of Robin was shattered, not by a lack of love, but by a prison sentence. If that sentence is removed, what happens to the rubble? The ripple effect. No one is safe. This isn't just a Robin story. The shockwaves from this appeal will rock the entire village. Victoria, her brother, her protector, might come home, but his return means dredging up the most traumatic period of her life. She's found a fragile peace. Will seeing Robert every day be a comfort or a constant, painful reminder of her ordeal with Lee? Wendy Posner. My heart aches for Wendy. She has spent years grieving her son, slowly building bridges with Victoria, and becoming a loving grandmother to Harry. She's found her place in the village. This news will feel like a betrayal, a declaration that her son's death might go unpunished. It threatens to reignite all that old animosity and pain, potentially destroying the life she has so carefully constructed. The Dingles. They picked up the pieces of Aaron. They watched him suffer. Will they welcome Robert back with open arms? Or will they be wary, protective of Aaron's fragile stability? What happens now? The speculation is killing us. The writers have thrown a grenade into the heart of Emmerdale, and we are left to frantically guess what happens next. What is this new evidence? Was there another cause of death for Lee? Did a witness lie? Did someone else on the scene do something that was covered up? Is it possible that Robert Sugden, for all his flaws and dark deeds, is actually innocent of murder? The implications are dizzying. This feels like a game changer, the kind of long-form storytelling that Emmerdale does best. It respects the history, honors the emotional investment of the fans, and promises a future filled with the drama, conflict, and heart that we live for. Tonight, we were all reminded that in the world of soaps, no chapter is truly, permanently closed. A ghost from the past is knocking on the door, and when it opens, nothing in Emmerdale will ever be the same again. We need to talk about this. What are your theories? What was your gut reaction? Are you screaming with joy, dread, or a little bit of both? Drop all your thoughts in the comments below and share this with every Emmerdale fan you know. The bombshell has landed. Let the fallout begin.